Hey bookworms, it's Jade from Bedtime Bookworm and welcome back to my channel. This is the start of another reading vlog. Hey guys, so it has been about 3.5 weeks since I ended my last reading vlog. I definitely didn't intend to take such a long break, but I was really struggling with my mental health after I ended that last vlog. Just the double pet losses in a row for my parents was really hard for me. But I am feeling better now, not like 100% better, but my anxiety is much more under control. Since I ended that vlog, I started some medication, I took some time off of work, I started to see a therapist. So I'm trying to get myself into a better mental health space and I think it's working. I also want to say thank you so much to everyone who left kind comments on my last reading vlog. That vlog was really hard for me to edit and post, and I just, I was feeling really vulnerable putting that out on the internet, and I really appreciate everyone who left thoughtful and kind comments on that video. Because it's been so long since I ended that vlog, I do have quite a bit of updates. I didn't read very much initially, but like I said, I had some time off of work and I really tried to focus on reading as a way to help me get into a better mental health space. So I have read quite a bit since I ended that vlog. And I also have a few announcement sort of things that I want to talk about. So let's start with those first. One thing that I have been thinking about while I was taking this break from everything basically is I think I want to change the way that I'm doing my reading vlogs. When I started out the year, I wanted them to cover like a 2-week time period. Obviously that really hasn't panned out, and that's been for a lot of different reasons. I think it has a lot to do with sometimes I feel like I haven't read enough to give you an update, and I was doing 3 updates in each reading vlog, so there was like a beginning, middle, and end. But whenever I didn't read a lot between those check-ins, I would, expand the time between check-ins, and that also was leading to really long reading vlogs, which I don't mind watching long reading vlogs, but I feel weird putting them out. I ideally would like to keep all of my videos around 20 minutes. And so what I think I'm gonna do from now on is I'm gonna do 2 check-ins per reading vlog instead of 3. And I also think that I'm gonna do my check-ins just like once a week. I was doing them every like 4 to 5 days so that I could fit 3 check-ins into 2 weeks. So instead I'm going to do 1 check-in a week. I'm going to try to make them like around the weekends, make them like weekend reading updates. And then hopefully that way I can keep them spanning 2 weeks-ish. I'm not going to be too strict about it or anything, but hopefully my reading vlogs will get a little shorter. I don't know about this reading vlog because I do have quite a bit of things to update you on. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking for reading vlogs here on out. The other announcement-y thing that I wanted to mention, which I might have already posted a video where I talk about this or mention it in passing, but I'm not doing a June reading wrap-up. I mean, at this point, July is almost over, but the reason why is because I didn't finish anything in June. I DNF'd 1 book and I didn't finish anything else. June was a very rough month for me. So instead, I'll post a July wrap-up and I'll mention the book that I DNF'd in June in that video. Also, just quick life update. I want to let you guys know that Toby, the puppy that I bought, is doing really well. He's so much bigger now than when we first brought him home. He was so tiny when we brought him home. He eats like a champ. He is so playful. Both of my other dogs we've raised from puppyhood, and it's so funny how much you forget from when they're so young. I had forgotten how frustrating and how severe the biting and chewing stages are when they're puppies. I have so many bruises on my legs because this dude is a total ankle biter. I have, battle wounds on my arms, but we love him so much and he's doing really, really well. And my other dogs are finally starting to warm up to him. Well, one more than the other, which is kind of what we had expected. One of my dogs, Chloe, I call her my cat dog because she's very aloof and just doesn't really care about anybody else. But Miko, the one that's all gray, we thought that she would love Toby and having a playmate because she's very playful and is always wanting to get Chloe to play with her, but Chloe doesn't most of the time. And so we were really surprised when we first brought Toby home that Miko was not interested in playing with him. Neither of the dogs wanted anything to do with Toby, but they're starting to warm up to him. He gets a little closer to them every day, and today, just this morning, Miko, the all gray one, she played with Toby for 20 minutes, and it was so cool and so fun to watch. I'll definitely include a little video clip of that in my video clip section. Okay, let's get on to the reading update. That was a lot of other non-reading things to talk about. So in my last reading vlog, when I ended it, I was in the middle of A Memory Called Empire, which I don't think I have a copy of anymore. I think I took it back to the library. The last bit of the book did pick up for me a little bit. It was more interesting, and I definitely had a much better grasp on the politics and the cultures in the book. But by the end of it, I still didn't like love it. I just, you know, I can't erase my feelings for the first half to 3/4 of the book, even though the last quarter of it was pretty good. I did still end up giving that book a 4-star rating because I think overall I'm glad that I read it. I think it was worth reading, but it's definitely more of like a 3.5 that I've rounded to 4. Puppies. The other book that I finished that I talked about in my last reading vlog was The Last Argument of Kings by Joe Abercrombie. And honestly, my feelings didn't really change throughout that whole book. I really do enjoy those characters, so I always enjoyed myself when I was actively reading the book, but it wasn't one that I was like dying to pick up every time I stopped reading. And I didn't think the ending was the strongest, especially considering it was the ending of the trilogy. There were a lot of things that kind of got tied up, but there were a couple of, I don't know, false endings where I just felt like the ending kind of dragged on a little bit too long. And then the very, very end of it left me like scratching my head because I didn't think that that was much of an ending, at least for like one of the characters. The ending that he got was kind of a cliffhanger, and I was not thrilled about that. But again, overall, I gave it 4 stars because I am glad that I read it. And I think that one is a solid 4 stars, not like a 3.5 that I rounded. It was a fun read. I am glad I read the series so I know like what people are talking about when they talk about that series. I think I'll do a series review, but no promises because I haven't been able to keep up with any sort of video reviews for the last couple of months. Toby won't leave me alone, but look at how big he is compared to last time I showed you. I mean, the last time I showed you, he was like, I don't know, like this big. He's so big now. He's probably like 5 pounds. Hi. And he was 2.5 when we got him. He might even be 6 pounds. Hi. And then the last book that I was already reading in my last reading vlog was The Way of Kings. It's right here behind me. I'm actually not going to pull it out, but I have read so much in that book. That actually has been my main focus because I was trying to catch up to the... Hey! That's my coffee! You can't drink my coffee! That one was my main focus during the past couple of weeks because I really wanted to get caught up to the Stormalong 2020, the read-along of the series that's happening right now. There's a playlist, so I'll link that down below if you guys are interested. But I was able to join the last live show, which is for like the 75% mark, and I was so happy to make that live show. It was a lot of fun, and I am loving this book so much. It's honestly going to be really difficult for me not to rush through to the end, to take 2 weeks to read the last 25% because you guys know Brandon Sanderson has crazy endings. The last quarter of his books are always just full of so many twists and turns, but I'm trying to pace myself so I can like savor it, and I don't want to finish too early and not, you know, remember things that I want to talk about at the next live show, which is in 2 weeks. But I'm loving that so much. It's like 1000% going to be a 5-star read. It is a reread for me. I read it like 10 years ago, and there have been a few things that I remember, but there is definitely a lot of things that I haven't, and I really don't know what's going to happen in the end. Just because a lot of people have read this book in this series, I will give a couple of specific things of my thoughts. My favorite character is Kaladin, which might just be because this is the book where you get Kaladin's backstory. If you don't know, each Stormlight Archive book has flashbacks for one specific character, and the flashbacks in this one are all about Kaladin. So you get to know him pretty well and get to know his history. He's such a like tragic hero, tragic chosen one, reluctant chosen one, and I just love him so much. And then my second favorite like main POV character is Dalinar. He's such a good man, and I just want the best for him. And then the third like main POV character is Shallan. Whoa! And then the third like main POV character is Shalon. She's definitely my least favorite. I don't jive with her sense of humor. She's got like a very sarcastic sense of humor, but her storyline has definitely gotten more interesting, especially by the 75% mark, and I'm dying to know what's going to happen to her next. Okay, moving on to things that I've picked up since I ended my last reading vlog. I actually have read a whole book. I mean, it is a YA book, so it's not like super long or anything, but I binged a book in probably like 4 days. I decided I really wanted to pick up a book that was on my TBR jar list because I'm doing so terribly at reading those, and the one that was really calling to me the most was The Girl of Fire and Thorns by Ray Carson. I mostly listened to this on audiobook, which I got out from my library, but I do have a physical copy as well. It's over there. I'm not going to go get it right now. And for the most part, I really enjoyed that one. So this is a YA fantasy that is about it's like a reluctant chosen one story, which if you don't know, that's like one of my favorite tropes. But it's about a girl or a princess, Elisa, who is born with a jewel in her belly button that is a godstone, and that means that she's like someone special. She's supposed to do something special in her life. I didn't love this book as much as I wanted to because I really loved Ray Carson's other series, but this is a series that she wrote earlier, and so I'm not too surprised that I didn't love it as much. I did really like Elisa, the main character. I just like the way that her brain works. She's one of those like clever and thoughtful kinds of main characters that really appeals to me. I didn't love the religion aspect, which is a big aspect of the book, and actually I'm finding that as a common thread in a lot of books that I've read recently. I don't know, I'm just a little picky about religion in books, I guess, but the religion in this book, I wouldn't say it's that close to Christianity, but like the words that they use and the way that they pray and things like that just reminded me a lot of Christianity. And I don't know, I like religion in fantasy books to be completely different, to feel completely different. So that was one of the things that I didn't love about it. But I had a really good time reading it. I'm glad that I read it, and I am definitely going to be picking up the rest of the series, or at least the next book. And I gave that one 4 stars. Okay, 2 more books to talk about. Another book that I am reading for the past couple of days is How Long Till Black Future Month by N.K. Jemisin, and I'm reading it with my friend Graf. We're doing 1 or 2 of the short stories every day. This is a short story collection. So far I've read 3 of them, and honestly they're not working great for me. And this is something I was a little nervous about before going in because I'm not the biggest fan of short fiction, but I always like want to try it because I'm hopeful that I'll find a short story collection that does work for me. But the first 3 stories in here so far have been just a little too weird and abstract for me. I definitely think that a lot of these stories, I mean, I've only read the first 3, but my guess is that they lean a little like literary fiction. Like, if any of you guys have read This Is How You Lose the Time War, kind of the issues that I had with that book, I have some of the similar issues with the 3 stories that I've read. There has been like fantastical elements in each of the stories, but they've been a little bit like hard to understand and just like hard to know exactly what is happening in the story. I'm a little disappointed, but I'm only 3 stories in. I'm definitely still planning to read the whole thing because I want to get a taste for her writing. One thing that I already have noticed is I feel like she has a lot of breath in her writing. Like the writing style in all of the stories were very different. And the second story in here I'm pretty sure is the one that later turned into her newest release, The City We Became. And I didn't really like it that much, and so that makes me really nervous just because I wanted to read The City We Became, and I've heard a lot of people say really good things about it. But I think there's still a chance that I would like it because it obviously would have evolved and changed since this short story. But yeah, 3 stories into this, feeling kind of uncertain about it, but still planning to read the rest of it. And then my ebook that I'm currently reading is an advanced reader copy of The Year of the Witching. I think the book might be out by now, or at least it probably will be by the time you see this video. But it's a YA fantasy that was inspired by the Salem witch trials, which is what got me really interested in it. I'm about 10% into it, and I'm intrigued. It definitely leans a little horror with some of the scenes that I've read so far. I'm not totally hooked yet, but I am interested to see where the story goes, and there haven't really been any like red flags for me to think that I won't like it. Okay, so those are all the things that I am currently reading and have read since my last reading vlog. I am still off of work for a little while longer, so My next update might also have a lot of updates, we shall see. But I am really excited to finally be getting back into reading because I have missed it so much. I've really struggled, I think, with reading basically since the pandemic started. So hopefully I can turn things around. And yeah, I will check in with you guys in about a week. Bye. Hey guys, it's me. So it is time to wrap up this vlog. I'm a little bit later than I had planned. It's about 8:30 p.m. on a Tuesday night. It's Tuesday, July 28th. So I missed my weekend update by a little bit, but this weekend kind of flew by for me for some good reasons. And then yesterday was my first day back at work after being off for a while. So the past few days have just kind of been a blur. I am pretty happy with the amount of reading that I got done last week. I have actually finished a whole book since last week, and that book was Allegedly by Tiffany D. Jackson. I primarily listened to this book on audio, which was available on Scribd, but I did have a physical book out from my library as well. I binged this book pretty quickly. I think I read it in about 4 days, which for me is pretty quick. So this is a YA, I don't know, I think some people would say contemporary, but I think it leans more like mystery thriller, really, about a girl named Mary. And when Mary was a young child, I think she was like 5 or 6, her mom was babysitting a white baby, a child of a friend of theirs, and that baby died while in their care, and for various reasons, Mary, the young child, was blamed for this terrible thing that happened. So she gets sent to baby jail and then later moves into something like a halfway house. I don't think that's what it was called, but something like that. This book does examine some of the systemic racial injustices in the United States, which is a big reason why I wanted to read it. You see Mary struggle to take the SAT and try to break out of this life that she's kind of been stuck in because of something that happened to her when she was very young. Definitely content warnings for this book for like child abuse, both emotional and physical. I don't think there was any on-page physical abuse, but it was discussed. And there are also characters in this book who definitely suffer from various mental health disorders. And I'm not entirely sure if the representation of that stuff was done well or not. I can't really speak to that, but I did overall really enjoy this book. Oh, the narrator for this book is Bonnie Turpin, who is a fantastic narrator. I've listened to, I think, at least a couple of her books now, and she's just really great and really brings the character to life. So I was immediately pulled into the story, and things got really good around the 50% mark. I was really hooked, and just I read the last half in maybe a little over a day, but very quickly. I read the second half much faster than the first half, and I thought that the book had potential to be a 5-star read because I was very emotionally attached to Mary and the things she had been through. I really liked how it was exploring some of the systemic issues that we have. But unfortunately, the ending was a little disappointing. I think some people will like the ending, and I know that on Goodreads a lot of people were like, whoa, that ending. Unfortunately, the ending kind of, it didn't ruin the book for me, but it definitely made me like it less. Like, I wanted a different ending. I didn't like the ending. So that was a big bummer. I still give the book 4 stars because I did really enjoy it, but that ending, I felt like the ending in some ways negated the message of the book, or at least the message that I was getting out of the book before the ending, and that's always a bummer. So that's the only book that I have finished since last time. I have made more progress in The Way of Kings. I've read this much of it. I have 100 pages left, and I'd kind of planned on trying to finish it tonight, but it's already kind of getting late, so maybe I'll finish it tomorrow. Either way, the next live show for the Storm Along for this is 2 days from now. It's Thursday, and I will definitely be finishing it before the live show so that I can participate. I was actually reading this last night, and I was like, based on my page count goal that I wanted to get to, I needed to read one more chapter, and I got a couple pages into that chapter, and things were just like so exciting, like something kind of crazy happened, something that made my jaw drop, and I said, no way. And so I knew at that point I needed to stop reading because it was midnight and I needed to go to bed because I had to wake up early this morning. So I'm definitely at a very interesting part, and I want to save it for a time where I can sit down and read the last 100 pages in one go. I don't want to have to stop in the middle of it. So I think that'll happen tomorrow night. Either way, I'm very excited for it to happen. Can't wait to find out how this all ends, and I am loving it. There's really not a lot more to say about it. Another book I was reading in my last check-in that I have made progress in is How Long Till Black Future Month by N.K. Jemisin. So I have read a little more than halfway this much of it, and I have found a few more stories in here that I have enjoyed, that I gave like 4. I think one I even was like thinking like it was 4.5, but round down to 4. So definitely some stories that I thought were interesting and worked a lot better for me than like the first 3 or 4 stories did. Definitely still some more duds as well, but I really appreciate the breadth in her writing and the different kinds of stories that she can come up with. And then I had mentioned in my last clip that I was reading an advanced reader copy, an e-advanced reader copy of The Year of the Witching by Alexis Henderson, and I am about 70% through this one now, so I've made quite a bit of progress. I am really enjoying the story. At this point, I'm putting it around a 4-star. We'll see how it goes by the time I get to the end. It did have kind of a slow start, but it wasn't like a rough start, if that makes sense. It wasn't like there were any things about the writing style or about the characters that I wasn't liking. It just was kind of like a slow burn to get into. I definitely see the Salem witch trials inspiration in this book, and I was honestly nervous going into this about the religion aspect because I've had a couple books previously where I felt like the religion was very close to Christianity, or just like reminded me too much of Christianity for me to like really suspend my disbelief. And interestingly, I'm not feeling that way about this religion. It feels very different. It's more of like a nature-y kind of magic, I think, or religion, I mean, although there does seem to be magic. Sorry, my puppy's trying to eat my books, my library books. The imagery in this book, I feel like it definitely leans horror. I don't know if the author herself classifies, or the publisher classifies this book as horror or not, but it's definitely pretty creepy, and it just has like this really like creepy aesthetic. I'm not someone who makes like those, aesthetic picture boards on Pinterest or on Twitter or whatever, but if I were to make something like that, I think that it would be full of like black and white pictures with like creepy trees and like fog and mist. The feeling of the book, or like the feeling of the setting, reminded me of the horror movie Witch. Just kind of like dark and creepy. It also reminded me of the movie The Village, the M. Night Shyamalan movie, just like kind of like the setting where they're in like this kind of rural town that feels like it's set in the past, like in a, I don't know, like a colonial time period. It is a fantasy world, so it's like completely different. But that's just like the feeling that I got. I really enjoy the atmosphere of this book. The plot is interesting. I like the main character. So overall, like, I'm enjoying it. I'm not like head over heels in love with it. I don't think it'll be a 5-star no matter how it ends, but I'm enjoying it. So the other book that I had started, puppy, stop, was This Vicious Cure by Emily Sue Veda, which I'm also listening to on audiobook, which is available on Scribd. I am about, I don't know, I think this is like 30% into it. This is the third and final book in the This Mortal Coil trilogy, which I have really enjoyed so far, and I've been dying to get to this one. It came out in January, but my library didn't get it right away, so I had to wait a little while. This is a sci-fi thriller. It has been over a year since I've read the second one in the series, and so I am struggling a little bit to remind myself everything that happened in that last book and familiarize myself with the characters. I'm not totally lost or anything. You know, sometimes you feel like you are missing something or like you don't remember something. And honestly, this is the reason why I don't like to read unfinished series. It's just, I personally forget things in the span of a year. I think I forget things more now that I'm doing BookTube and I read so much compared to like before BookTube. And I feel like I don't enjoy my experience reading the book to the fullest, because if everything was more fresh on my mind, then like the little things that I might not pick up on if it's not fresh, I would pick up on, and I would just enjoy it more, you know? So this is going fine, and I'm definitely going to finish it and everything. I just wish that I hadn't waited so long to read it, because I feel like I'm not getting the full impact that I could be. Also, I want to warn you that the Scribd audiobook, I don't know if it's the same with the audiobook if you get it from other sources, but it's definitely missing chunks of the book. Like, I was very confused for a little bit because we switched characters in the middle of a chapter and I didn't realize it at first, and it was very confusing. But it's happened 2 or 3 times already where like 3 pages would just be missing from the audiobook. So I'm very glad that I have the physical book, so that when something confusing happens or I think maybe we skipped something, I can look it up and read the intervening pages. So that's kind of a bummer about the audiobook. Hopefully it's not that way for like everywhere, but the one on Scribd, at least the one that I was listening to, definitely was missing some pages in multiple places so far, and I'm only this far in. Alright guys, I have talked for way too long. I hope you liked this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Let me know in the comment section what you think about the 2 updates per vlog with 1 section of life clips versus the 3 sort of thing. Hopefully you guys are into that. And yeah, give the video a thumbs up, subscribe for more, all that jazz, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.